and he told me that he's working out. He works out. I asked him if I'm allowed to repeat this. He said yes. It was a great conversation about working out. And he says he works out. Yitzi, am I waiting? He said that he works out. Thank you so much. What? We're recording? I'm not recording?
I don't know, your phone.
Oh, my phone, yeah.
You just jumped right in it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So bottom line, what happens? So he tells me that he works out a lot. Daniel, get Daniel, he'll like this. Tell Daniel, just listen to the story. Daniel, it's worth it. Daniel, it's worth it to hear it. It's worth it. It's mamash a minute story, it's worth it to hear. It's fine. It's bitulei hi kiyumai. Right? So he says that he works out and he's trying to lift like, I don't know what, 1,000 pounds. I don't know what he's trying to lift. But he's working out. That's his dedication, is to work out. And he told me, right, he's a first-year guy, and he told me, a guy who's here just at the beginning here, and he told me, I said, how do you know how to work out? What do you do? He says he watches videos, YouTube videos, of course. You can YouTube anything to figure out. He says he's watched probably over 500, close to maybe more, 1,000 hours of videos of how to work out. So what did I tell him? No, who's going to say what I told him? What did I tell him? Oh. So I said, that's incredible. I said, could you imagine how many hours and hours and hours of work and things you have to watch and figure out how to work in? If to work out, to become a strong guy, could you imagine how many? He liked it. Anyway, you can go now, Daniel, but that was the pshat. That's why I said I'm going to start off. Why is that inspiring? There's an inspiring to me. What's the inspiration to me? The inspiration to me is that the world as we know it and the life as we know it is spent in, for a guy to go ahead and spend hours and hours and hours in anything, whatever you're going to say it is, whatever it might be, there it makes sense. But to go ahead and to work in and to spend hours on building yourself and developing yourself and understanding yourself and understanding who you are and being honest who you are with who you are and really, really focused there. And again, all I'm repeating basically in a nutshell is the introduction to the Mesilas Yesharim. I'm just saying what he says. I'm not saying anything such a chiddush over here. And I think the dedication that all of us have and the commitment that we need, the dedication and commitment that we have and that we need in order to develop ourselves, especially in our society where it's so confusing and there's so many distractions and there's so many things pulling us away from the pursuit of self-discovery, self-knowledge, self-acceptance, self-knowing, is incredible. And the more we learn consistently, persistently to develop ourselves, the happier you will be, the more fulfilled you will be, the more you will be. Right? Everyone says you got to be be the best you. So you know my line on that. Don't be the best you. Be you. If you're you, then you'll be the best you. If you're just you, you have to be the best you. Okay, question, comments on that. Let me make my bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol na'eh b'dvaro. Question, comments, please. Somebody? Question, comments? As I'm looking for the Chavetz Chaim. And that's why we love learning. Yes?
So clear.
So clear, right? Thank you. That's why we learn Hilchos Lashon Hara. Why do we learn Hilchos Lashon Hara? Learn Hilchos Lashon Hara because we have to remind ourselves that it's not about other people. It's not about other people. It's like incredible. It's like so crazy that we can get lost in other people. The second you look to your left, the second you look to your right, that's when you're in trouble. That's when the trouble begins. The trouble doesn't begin after that step. The trouble begins when you did that step. Why did you look to the left? Why did you look to the right? I don't know if that's a good question to ask. Why? I looked to the left, I looked to the right. That was the problem. That was the problem. And then people get worried, oh, then I'm going to be self-centered, then I'm going to be disconnected to everyone. You know what? It's the exact opposite. That's when you'll be more connected to everyone. That's when you're going to be more connected to yourself, because you can't connect to other people. Here, I'll end off with this one, and then I want to hear from you guys. You cannot, this is a line, if there's one thing you remember from this yeshiva, is this line I'm going to say. To the degree that you connect to yourself, to the percentage that you connect to yourself, and people don't like this, they're not going to like this, to the degree and the percentage that you connect to yourself, that is the degree and the percentage you will connect to others. And that includes the missus, that means your wife, and it includes your children. And I'll say it again. To the degree that you're able to connect to yourself, that is the degree you will be able to connect to your wife and your children and other people. Now, what does it mean to connect to yourself? That means that you are fully yourself. You're tuned into yourself. You know yourself. You are honest with yourself. ... Everything on the outside is a reflection of the inside. That's what's hard. That's why we don't like to remember that when you see something on the outside, it's all the inside. That's why we love triggers, because when you get triggered, that's a sign that it's you. It's really you. It's really, really you, if it triggers you. Okay, question, comments. It's way too quiet in here. I want to hear some, yes, Bensi. Oh, Bensi, Yehuda, yeah.
You said if it triggers you, it's sometimes it could be it's like the complete opposite of you. Like that's exactly what you don't want, so you get triggered too.
That's exactly what you what?
That's exactly like against like your whole nature or everything. So it'll also give you it'll trigger you in two different types of ways.
Yeah, but why is it triggering you? That's the $1 million question. So why is it bothering you? Trigger means it bothers me. Why is it bothering you? So someone's different than me. What's the big deal? So someone's the opposite of me. What's the big deal? I like chocolate. He likes vanilla. What's the big deal? Why does it bother me? Oh, that's a question.
Really, you?
No, that's the question you want to ask yourself. Why does it bother you? Why does it bother you that this and this and that? And you can't tell me because you're a kanoi. Don't give that to me. Don't tell me it bothers you when someone, right? You want to throw rocks at him on Shabbos. That's not an impossible. You want to throw rocks at the cars on Shabbos because it bothers you. Maybe back in the day that was true. It does not exist anymore for the people that we know. Maybe some tzaddikim nowadays, it could really bother them when someone is doing something wrong. But for us, usually it's more emotional. And what's my raya? No, Josh, what's my raya? What's my raya? You know what my raya is? Because what parak is kanois in the Mesilas Yesharim? Exactly. So that means you already have to be a chassid. You have to be not a tzaddik anymore. You're a chassid already. So no offense to anybody, but I don't know how many chassidim there are. Nothing to do with payas and a gartel. I don't know how many chassidim there are nowadays running around. For sure, us. So if you want to get to the madrega where kanoi, I heard someone recently speak to someone. Go do your pinchas. I'm like, oy vey, don't say that. I'm being serious. I heard someone, a chash of a person, said, go do your pinchas. I'm like, that's not healthy. That's not healthy. Don't be pinchas. Pinchas, be Aaron HaKohen. Yes, Yehuda.
So First of all, thank you, Rebbe, for guiding me in a way where I'm not going to be taking my own stuff out on other people, that I'll cuss it out and throw a spear at people.
Exactly.
That's right, or something like that.
Mhm.
But that's really
kill
me.
people.
Yeah.
Right, kill people. All in the name of God.
Yeah.
Right, right, of course.
So that direction. But I wanted to ask, based on what Rebbe was saying at the beginning, about how like culture came to work in,
Right.
the amount of work that I need to do regarding working in,
Right,
and how the world
right.
will try to get me away from that.
Yes.
So, especially after a lot of these shiurim where working in becomes something that you realize it's not something I'm trying to attain, but it's like a lifestyle, I guess.
Correct.
It's like
Correct.
a day-to-day
Correct,
thing.
correct.
So, how do I gauge when day-to-day life comes knocking?
Yes.
How do I know whether the right thing is to be fully remove myself from the way that natural reality may work, because it's taking me away from working in,
Right.
versus like Hashem put me into this world, so I guess there's a time to work in and there's a time to do other things.
Right.
So like, how do you decide whether to be fully
Right.
abstinent from certain
Right. So
life things, and to even call it bad because it's taking me away from working in? Versus
I got
like,
it.
maybe
I
it's
think
not
I got it.
bad.
I think I got it. I think that it's a great question. I think on a practical level, it depends what you're going to be doing for your career and what you're going to be doing in life. And I think that at the end of the day, it's not the amount of hours you're spending doing X, Y, and Z. Some people, need to run businesses and they need to, sell computers, or they need to sell, insurance, or they need to sell, tables, or whatever it might be and that's beautiful, right? And they might not even sell it to a base medrash. They might sell it to some, somebody, and they're spending most of their day at work doing that. I think that's what your question is a little bit. Right. But the answer is, what's my home? What's my purpose in life? It's like as I quote the Mesil Shar many times, right? The bakashas menuchas olam hazeh is the problem. The yearning to relax and enjoy life, that's the problem. The Ramchal never tells us you're not allowed to enjoy life. Never says that. The point is not that I have to always be working in 24/7. No. But when I know that is the purpose of life, is to work in, then it's okay. As long as I know that that's my job and I have to. It's like my wife. Your wife and your children are the most important people in your life. No one will argue with that. Nobody can argue with that. But how much time do you spend with them? You're at work. She's at work. Your children go to school. But it's when I'm with them. What's my purpose? Why am I working? I'm working in order that I could spend time at home with my children. I could do whatever it might be. So to answer your question, it's not the amount of time a person spends working in. It's what's my purpose in life. Now, that said, so far so good? Okay. Correct. Why Hashem? Right, yeah, it's a trip. Right, now, however, I do want to say, don't underestimate the fact that we spend not enough time working in. That's number two. Meaning, don't take that as a pass to say, okay, good. So I only need to spend, X amount of time working in. Assume you're not working in enough hours. It's beautiful that everybody comes to everyone here at least, is coming to hear this shir, and we're working in, and we're, trying to work in. But that doesn't absolve you from conversations, from therapy, from a close friend, from a Rebbe, from journaling yourself, etc. So if you want to break down how many hours a person needs a day to work in, that's a great conversation. But I don't think that was your question, but good? Okay, shkoyach to you. Yes.
I just want to say something. I think Rabbi said is something I heard is that if we have a problem or if we see a problem and we don't see a solution, then we are the problem. But if we have a problem and we see the solution, then you got yourself a call. And then my next question was very similar to Yehuda's.
Yeah.
Rabbi always says, you should be the change you want to see in the world.
Right.
And does that go like on a daily basis, trying to change the world? Or is it like I want to leave the world a better place than I came into it?
Right. So
how does that work?
Right. Be the change. So it doesn't say be the change that you want to see in the world in order to change the world.
Right, but obviously you have to work daily to. Again,
it doesn't say be. It's not be. It's be the change you want to see in the world, which means is that if something bothers me, then the way to fix that is to be that change, and that naturally then will fix the world. So it's a daily, it's an hourly, it's as often as you can to work on yourself. The amount of time and effort that a person can spend working on himself will only be the greatest. Yeah, it's one of the things I've said. Reb Simcha Rabba, I'm giving you a minute to prepare, right? One of the things, it hit me, I think, Pesach time, this hit me. This past Pesach, this concept hit me. There's one thing you can invest in that will always be a good investment. And that's when you invest in yourself. It's impossible to lose if you invest in yourself. You can invest in another person, doesn't go well. You can invest in time in something else, whatever it might be, a project, doesn't go well. If you invest in yourself, in self-knowledge, self-discovery, self-work, self-help, however you want to say it, whatever you want to say, you can't lose. The problem is our focus is on the outside. That's our problem. Our focus is on, a little bit, like we've said, our focus is, how can I change the world? What can I do to change, right, the world? Don't worry about changing the world. Make your bed. Clean up your mess. I've said this many times, and I don't like talking about this publicly, but I do like talking about it publicly. I don't, but I do, and you'll hear what the statement's going to be, right? And I'm sorry because other people listen to this shiur outside of this forum, but I'm going to say it because I think it's important to say. It's like, every bathroom that you go to, whether it's a bathroom especially if you're in a caravan with other people, or anywhere you go in the world, every bathroom should be, I don't like that word, but you'll hear what I'm going to say, should be clean as a whistle. Every bathroom, every toilet should be clean. There shouldn't be anything on the seat. I'm sorry that I'm talking like this. There shouldn't be anything inside. Why is it not like that? Why is it not like that, Shua? Why? Because people, what do? They make a mess. And what do? They don't clean it up. So I have to walk into the bathroom. I'm sorry that I'm talking like this, but I'm happy to be talking like this. I have to walk in the bathroom and I have to clean up your mess. Now, if only it would be in the bathroom, the world would be a beautiful world. But everyone's worried about the government. Everyone's worried about, the world, society. They're worried about the community. How about flush the toilet and make sure you clean the toilet and you make sure you leave the place that you went better than you found it. And I think, I'm saying I think because I'm being humble when I say that. I know that this is true because, like I said, halavai, the problem is the toilets. Halavai, we wish that would be the extent of the problems is the fact that people need to learn to be more sensitive like that. It's not like that. Right? What was that line we said? If you don't heal your wounds, you're going to bleed on people who didn't hurt you. You're going to bleed on your wife. You will. You're going to bleed on your children. You're going to hurt your children. You're going to hurt your spouse. Everyone's going to hurt their spouse and their children. Sorry, I know that sounds terrible to say, but everyone's going to hurt your spouse and your children. The question is, how much are you going to hurt them? Are you going to hurt them 90% and they'll be 10% healthy? Or they're going to be 90% healthy and 10% damaged? Everyone's going to damage because we're all perfectly imperfect. We're all beautifully imperfect. The question is, how big is your imperfection? Okay, Simcha Rabbi, I give you more than a minute. Thank you. I'm not gonna let you get away with that, but thank you.
If I want to invest in like my child, sometimes it's like I want to give my child the education. Like,
That's good. That's good. Yeah, good. That's dangerous, but it's good. It's good to be aware of that, right? Yehuda's already the next level. Baruch Hashem, he has 2 cutie pies at home, 2 little, how old? What is she? Could I know? 2 years old. So he's thinking straight. What's his question? His question is, if I want to take care of my children to be great children, and I want to give them an education, I want to give them this. Am I giving them what they want, or I'm giving them what I was lacking? Just the fact that you're asking that question is a great question. Sorry to be so cliche from many years ago. Keep on asking that question, but that's the truth. That's a good question you want to ask. Because I remember to this day watching one of my children, you know the story probably, watching one of my kids in a school and blah, 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 and I'm like, I'm not doing this for him. I'm doing this for me. And Baruch Hashem, I had that I don't know what the word is. I had that, I don't know what the word is. I had that something, right, that I said like, am I doing this for my kid or am I doing this for me? Right? I've said the story with, right, my son, davening with me in yeshiva when he would sit up front in Shayashav and I'd bring him and I'm like, am I doing this for him or I'm doing it for me? Oh, look at Rabbi Fischer, his son is with him, right? Whatever it is, he's davening so nicely. Shh, be quiet. Why do you want your son to be quiet? To teach him not to talk in shul? Because you don't want people to think that your son talks in shul. Those are good questions to ask. Those are great questions to ask. Yes, Rav Hillel. I'm all excited. Rav Hillel's, I triggered Rav Hillel. Yeah, go. Sorry, is that okay that I said that?
Yeah.
I don't know if I did. I was just saying.
Maybe the beginning.
You're on, not just for a compliment. Yeah, go.
So back to what Rabbi Yoni Fischer was saying about working in and then living life.
Right.
So I'm assuming working in also means working on yourself, like working on your egos and all that.
Of course. That is what it means.
Right. So I think that I always say that the best way to remember halacha when it's a lot of small details,
right.
It's very hard for people to remember. I think the best tool to remember halacha is that once you learn it, you keep it. And then by keeping it, that's the chazara because you're doing it every day. So it's the same thing over here. When you work on yourself at set times, but you live that way at work and during your life,
nice.
So that you're only strengthening what you worked on during the time that you're working on yourself.
Beautiful. That's a good eitzah. It's a good eitzah, you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a way to put it into to whatever you're doing. Nice. Beautiful.
You live the way that you want to live.
Beautiful.
My question was.
Yeah.
It sounded to me like there were only like 2 extremes: either not caring about anything,
okay,
or being pinchas and being a kanoi.
Okay.
But what if I want to
check yourself? All I'm saying is check yourself. I'm not saying.
But
that's all I'm saying. Check yourself.
Let's say if I see
assume.
My son,
yes.
If I see my son doing something wrong.
Yes.
Is it impossible that I
know. I didn't say about it. Assume. Assume you're triggered because of your own issues. Assume.
Why am I triggered?
Good. Assume it's something. Check it. That's all I'm saying. Check it out. Don't check it with
So
yourself.
let's say you have negias. Let's say you have negias.
You do have negias. You do have negias. You do have negias. We all have negias.
But we wouldn't be triggered by these things, so then I wouldn't even
Check
have
yourself.
the sense of like, I have to help him stop beating up his sister. Or not,
All right.
I'm not my kid.
No, your children will beat up each other. That's a very children normal,
But
appropriate
let's
thing
say
to
the
do.
appropriate thing is to teach him that it's not.
You could, but why am I yelling at him and why am I getting angry at him?
Yeah,
And why am I?
I'm not
That's all.
like yelling at him. But
Just why is it bringing up?
bothers me.
Why is your heartbeat racing so fast? Why are you getting, right? Who said the Brisker of? He used to come over to his children, Erev Shabbos, and bring out his list and say, on Tuesday, you did this and this wrong. On Wednesday, you did this and this wrong. On Thursday, you did this and this wrong. Have a good Shabbos. Okay? That means he didn't let himself get carried away. That's all. Don't assume. In our generation, sorry Rav Hillel, sorry anybody who thinks they're a big, no matter how big you are, it doesn't matter. Nowadays, in our generation, your anger towards anyone and this is not kanois. It's not possible. It's not possible. Yes, is there a guy maybe, is there some guy, I'm talking about kanois. Is there some guy in Mei Sharim or some guy in some mountain somewhere who's a big tzaddik, who's a real kanoi? Could be. But I'm saying it's not for us. It's not for us. It is extreme for us. For us, it is extreme.
And it's saying that everything you do is Hashem Shamayim, that's one extreme. But there's no middle ground that's for us that it bothers me, even if I'm not going to scream at him and let's say...
Yeah, check yourself. Check yourself.
I'm saying that's in the fact that it bothers me.
Correct. Check. Of course, that's normal. It's normal. Just check yourself. Where is it coming from? I'm not saying it naturally if your son does something wrong that it should bother you. It's normal that it bothers you, but you have to check. All I'm saying is you have to check yourself. That's all I'm saying. You have to check yourself. Check yourself. You have to talk to somebody else about it. You can't trust yourself. When something bothers you, when you hate someone or something, you have to check yourself. It's not the Satmar Rebbe. The Satmar Rebbe can hate the Medina as much as he wants. He's not alive anymore. If you hate the Medina, you're not the Satmar Rebbe. Now, I'm not talking about anyone who's Satmar. If you're Satmar and you're Satmar from birth, follow the Rebbe. I'm talking about anybody here who hates the Medina b'shem the Eidach Redis. It's not b'shem the Eidach Redis. Don't lie to yourself. You're a liar. You're fooling yourself. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Could the Satmar Rebbe do it? Sure, he could do it. But we're not the Satmar Rebbe.
That's why I'm getting confused. Let's say, Al Pi Seichel, you came to the conclusion. It's the right thing.
No. You can't come to the conclusion. You need to check yourself. You have to ask other people. You have to go to therapy. That's it. If you checked yourself, Rav Hillel, if you checked yourself and you came out that you're clean, then you're clean. I don't know what you're talking about.
What if I'm not clean?
Then it's about you.
I hate the Medina because I have issues and I need to take my anger out on something.
Great. Then you have an anger problem. You have road rage. You have Medina rage. No, so you have Medina rage. This guy has road rage and you have Medina rage. What's the difference?
Let's say your Rebbe told you the right thing to do.
I don't know. I don't know. Well, hold up. You're asking a shkafic question. If you're Rebbe, so follow your Rebbe. Maybe your Rebbe's an angry guy. What do you want from me? I don't know. Maybe your Rebbe is not clear.
Let's say when it comes to being your children, whatever that, we know that the right thing is that I'm supposed to teach him not
to what?
Not to be a business, whatever.
What do you mean not to be chashav? You have to teach your child not to be chashav. Why is he making one?
You still need to teach him.
Great. I agree. But why are you getting angry at him?
Fine, 100%.
That's all.
I got it.
Then that has nothing to do with what he did. That has to do with road rage. That's called Shabbos rage. That's called halacha rage. People have road rage. People have frum rage. It's the same thing. You have rage. The best way to take it out is on Yiddishkeit. Great. It's the same thing. No one wants to hear that. Oh my gosh, Rabbi Fischer, I don't want to hear that. Okay, go. If that triggers you, go figure that out. What do you want from me? I don't know. That's your problem. That's not my problem. To me, it's clear as day. Great. There's road rage. I just made this up. What time is it? It's 6:32 on January 4th. Yud Beis, Yud Aleph, Yud Beis. Tonight's Yud Beis Teves. We made up a new line. There's something called road rage, which comes from rage, and there's something called how are we going to name it? Judaism, religion rage. That's all. So you're going to take out your religion rage on your son. You better be this, because the Torah says. I'll show you. The Torah says. Here it is. We call that religion rage. Now, someone's going to say, does that mean I'm not allowed to go ahead and help my son become, well, one second. So that's like saying I'm not allowed to say that someone doesn't know how to drive. The guy doesn't know how to drive. He doesn't know how to drive. That doesn't mean I have to cut him off and beep the horn and huff and puff and yell at him. They're two different things. I could say I was driving and this guy was driving not well, and so I let him in front of me, and he was a crazy driver. Great. Next. Beautiful Rav Hillel. Shkoyach Rav Hillel. Shkoyach Rav Hillel. Shkoyach. I like it. It brings out good stuff in me. Go, Rav Simcha Rabbah.
I like it, Josh.
It's great. I love it. I mean it. It's great.
I was just wondering, like, mitzvah here at Mo.
Oh, I love it. Great kasha. Halavai, we should be on the madrega. I agree. I agree.
You have to be the third man to like
Beautiful.
bring up
Beautiful. I love it.
They're not going to come from the same Shema.
Beautiful. So what's my answer? If you ready, there's a very good yesod to know, right? If you can't love someone, you can't hate them. If you can't love something, better. Let me say it better that's better. If you can't love, you can't hate. If you can't, right? Those are you can't. So I'm saying if you're able to have Avas Hashem and you're able to have Ahavta L'Orecha Kamoicha and you're totally, connected to all your ahavas and your all of that, then it could be you could have real sinna, the proper hatred for Amalek. But if the only thing you hate, right? What do they say? That's what the Bali Musar say. What's Yiras Shamayim? Know what Yiras Shamayim they say is? The only thing you're afraid of is Hashem. But when a guy is filled with anxiety, and this people don't want to hear either, because this very much confuses people. You have a guy who's filled with anxiety, and then he has Yiras Hashem. He doesn't have Yiras Hashem. He has anxiety. Then he gets rid of his anxiety. What happens? He goes to the therapist, or he takes his medicine, or he does this thing. He gets rid of his anxiety, and then he says, where did Hashem go? What do you mean, where did Hashem go? Right. The therapist made him not religious. No. He didn't have Yiras Hashem. He had anxiety. Now, is that good? Is it a good thing to have anxiety? Yes. People are like, what? How could you say that? It's a very good thing. We spoke the other day about it. It's good to have anxiety. It's normal to have anxiety. It's appropriate to have anxiety. And it's good to have anxiety about Hashem. But it's got to be proportionate. It has to be. So you're saying you have to hate Amalek. Yeah. But when you hate your mother-in-law and you hate Amalek, then you gotta come to terms with something. You can't hate.
I'm just wondering what everything is telling you is all or nothing.
It is all or nothing. Where does the Torah tell me to hate?
I'm saying that there's shalom, like everything, there's shalom and shema, and there's levels of shema. I feel like a lot.
Yeah, correct. That's Loila Shema. I agree with you. The difference is, right, the difference is Loila Shema. I don't want to get into Loila Shema, but the difference is that where you're, when you know it's Loila Shema, then it's fine. Nobody says, the Gaon straight out says, if you're doing it Loila Shema, that's the end in itself, then it doesn't bring to Lishma. So if I know that my hatred for Amalek is because I also hate my mother-in-law, and part of it is probably because I hate people, and I'm able to throw them in to the mix, then know that. Right? For example, I came with my Yoma Atzmaut Shir, Mir Hashem this year. Right? I'll say it again. I had this epiphany 2 years ago that I have a part of me that has the anti-Medina. Right? So I used to think, because I'm my family's from Satmar, and I'm I'm whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then I realized because I'm a capitalist and I hate big government, so I hate the Medina because I don't like government. So I thought I'm this big tzaddik. Then I realized, okay, now does that mean maybe there's a me'ain of I should be zoiche to have a little bit of the Satmar Rebbe and zoiche to have a little bit of the kedusha of what that means? Halavai. But you got to know who you are.
Okay, fine. So let's say I'm 90% unhealthy eater.
Right,
But
good.
10%
Good.
really hate the Medina.
Good, beautiful, good. Then you'll get there if you work on it. I'm hoping one day I'll be zoichet to really hate the Medina al Satmar Rebbe. I'm saying, you know what I mean. I don't mean that my goal is to hate the Medina. I'm just saying if I hate it, I want it to be in a pure way.
But I'm saying if I'm aware of that, then I'm saying it should be.
Are we going to be able to send this one out? Is this too intense for everybody?
If I'm aware of that,
If I'm aware of that, that's great.
if I'm aware of that,
Check
like-
yourself.
Like everything else, like if a guy knows.
Exactly. Then you're great. If you know that it's mixed, if you know your road rage has nothing to do with the driver. It has nothing to do with the driver. You're an angry guy, so you're taking it out on the driver. It's nothing to do with the guy who's driving. The Medina, you're angry at the Medina, has nothing to do with the Satmar Rebbe. Has to do with your own stuff. Then as long as you're aware of that, then you'll get there.
What about the fact that it might be the right thing?
I don't know what that means.
If that's
Good, so good, Baruch Hashem, you're right, that's fine, that's good, you're right. It's
even though I'm not holding there.
correct, but as long as you're aware, it's dangerous, Joshi, it's dangerous. Simcha Rabba, don't go with it, no, come on, you gotta say something. Simcha Rabba. Correct, Joshi, no, that's good, correct, correct. As long as the danger of the right thing for Rav Hillel and Joshi, the danger of the right thing is that you won't check yourself as much. That's the danger of the right thing. The danger of the right thing is that if you're a kanoi for Amalek and you're a kanoi for the Medina, against the Medina, you'll never check yourself because you'll be like, oh, the reason I hate the Medina is because I'm a Satmar Rebbe, I'm a Eidach Redis. You won't check yourself. The reason I'm yelling at my son is because I want my son to be a Ben Torah and I Teira. So that's what's gonna, you're not gonna check yourself. But you'll check yourself hopefully on road rage. So it's more dangerous when it comes to doing the right thing. It's more dangerous because you're less what's the word? You're less note, you're less going to check yourself. Inclined, thank you. You're less inclined to check yourself. Yes, Simcha Rabba.
I'll just share one thing that very often when people share parts of them that they don't really like parts of them that want them to do things that they don't want to do.
Yes.
So the language in IFS is, can we give some attention to that part?
Right.
And people here, giving attention means I'm going to do what it says. So I just want to share, as you're talking about this, it's just because I recognize that my learning might be an escape, it doesn't mean that I'm going to stop learning.
Correct.
It just means that now I'm honest with myself, and now I can actually begin to start learning this now.
Correct.
Because I'm aware that this thing was
Beautiful.
So I really love the last thing that you said.
Beautiful.
So
you're saying, let's just get that clear, all of us. So what Simcha Rabba is saying, yeah, go.
Isn't that, so the example which Rav Simcha Rav is giving, so
Yes.
I actually really like, because it's
Yeah.
learning, so it's just me.
Right.
I felt myself getting a little bit triggered from the other examples being given because even if I become aware, so it's 90% because I hate myself, and 10% because I hate, people who do, the bad things, and to then say, but at least now that I'm being honest, now I'm going to go ahead and do it, but it's at the expense of somebody else because I'm screaming at somebody else to not be Machal Shabbos, or I'm screaming at somebody else to get out of the basement.
Right.
I'm screaming
At my kid.
So
Correct.
Once you enter into the realm
Nice.
of the expense of somebody else, I think I get very triggered in the sense of so that can never be the right thing.
Nice. Okay, good. Nice.
a
Good.
person will be able to get there.
Nice. Right. Listen, at the end of the day, first of all, you're right. That's why you hope you heal yourself as best as you can before you have your children, your wife, so that you don't destroy them and hurt them and damage them. Because you will damage them. The question is how much you're going to damage them. Correct. You're right. So you want to be aware now. And you want to be aware when you get married, and you want to be aware constantly, because you're always going to be in situations. Correct. Correct. Yes, Rafi, and then we'll end off. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, was that correct? You're right.
How much is it good? Like, how often is it good to be critiquing yourself for the Shema?
So I just want to say good. So I just want to say the word that I used was not critique. Okay? And I'm not saying that that's not a good word to use, but I did not use that word. I said check yourself. And the reason I don't, but 1 second. The reason I'm not saying critique is because it's not a negative, because that's negative. I'm not doing something negative. I want to just be aware. Like Simcha Rabba said, the word they use in IFS, I want to give attention. I want to be aware of the fact that I'm so angry at my son. I'm so angry at something. Yes, Rafi?
So how often is it good for it to be on your mind to check yourself? Because I know for me, I'm a very all or nothing thinker in a way, and I see how it can be very crippling. Saying, oh my God, this is not the Shema. This is and every little thing.
All right, so maybe you have to check yourself why you check yourself so much.
I'm saying, yeah.
I don't mean you, but I'm saying that's also checking myself.
But how,
what do you mean?
how often is it good to be on your mind?
No, I'm saying, but that's something to check yourself. Say, why am I checking myself so much? Right? You just came to an insight right now as we're talking that you might check yourself a lot. So I would question that and talk to somebody and say, why do you think I check myself so much? And then they might say, because blah, 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 blah. And you'll say, okay, let me work on that. Because people could also say that, right? When it comes to also that could be checking yourself in the name of self-help. People say that, I got to work. People say, I got to work on myself. So what does that mean? I got to work on myself. I can't relax. So this is my kasha that I asked them. Okay, really? Maybe you have to work on relaxing. You ever think about that one? So is that considered working on myself? Oh, no, but that's not really what I meant. What I meant was I have to work on myself, that I always have to be busy. So we're not talking about working on yourself now. So we're talking about working on yourself. Maybe you need a break. Oh, I have trouble taking a break. So that's the problem. You know what I'm saying? What? 100%. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, amazing. Hashem should help us all. We should be zoicha. We didn't do Hilchos Lashon Hara, but I think we were yotzei to do Hilchos Lashon Hara. Hashem should help us all. We should be zoicha to check ourselves without criticism, to be careful. And if you're critical, you could check that also. And if you overly check yourself, you could check that also. And through that, we'll be zoicha to have an amazing first day of the rest of our life.